President Joe Biden recognized Trans Day of Visibility on Easter Sunday. And of course, it was also Easter Sunday. Now, it may not shock you to hear that Joe Biden isn't in charge of when Easter is, and Joe Biden isn't in charge of when Trans Day of Visibility is. And yet, so many people, including, at least by implication, the failed former President Donald Trump, are furious with Joe Biden for trying to turn Easter into a woke day of trans remembrance and visibility and support and everything else. And it's woke and it's blasphemy. Let's discuss it. And this really takes a special kind of, call it whatever you want. Joe Biden, LGBTQ Nation reports, Joe Biden calls trans people the fabric of our nation in a Trans Day of Visibility proclamation. Joe Biden and the Biden administration putting out a statement, and it included the line, whether serving their communities or in the military, raising families or running businesses, they, meaning the trans community, help America thrive. Perfectly reasonable message. You're not saying anything about, I'm going to use the words they use, quote, men and women's sports, which is an obsession for MAGA people. I don't know why. They're not saying anything about mutilation, which they love to talk about so-called mutilation. It's so simple. It's, hey, these are folks in our community. We value them. They do everything that other Americans do to make the country a nice place to be. And that's it. You can read the entire declaration. So then conservatives start flipping out. Mother Jones reports, Easter falls on Trans Day of Visibility this year. The right blames Biden. And indeed, this article, which we will link to, outlines how, quote, across social media, right-wing posters are complaining that President Joe Biden has usurped Easter. Vivek Ramaswamy, remember when he was the voice of reason? Joe Biden just proclaimed that Trans Visibility Day is on Sunday. I wonder how he came up with that date. Well, Joe Biden did not come up with that date at all. I will get to that in a moment. Here is Donald Trump's statement about this, saying, quote, statement from Trump campaign on Joe Biden's blasphemous declaration of Trans Visibility Day on Easter Sunday. It is appalling and insulting that Joe Biden's White House prohibited children from submitting religious egg designs for their Easter art event and formally proclaimed Easter Sunday as Trans Day of Visibility. Sadly, these are just two more examples of the Biden administration's years-long assault on the Christian faith. This is unhinged, by the way. We call on Joe Biden's failing campaign and White House to issue an apology to the millions of Catholics and Christians across America who believe tomorrow is for one celebration only, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's a statement from Caroline Leavitt, Trump's national press secretary. I hate to, first of all, they are smothering themselves in supposed Christianity to attack the marginalized and spread bigotry. That's not something I'm really cool with, but they're also wrong on the facts. Joe Biden did not come up with Trans Visibility Day being on Easter Sunday by chance. Trans Day of Visibility has been March 31st since it was created in 2010 by Rachel Crandall Crocker, the executive director of Transgender Michigan. It has nothing to do with Joe Biden. It just so happens that because Easter, by the way, how is Easter determined? Easter falls on the first Sunday after the Paschal, I hope that's how it's pronounced, Paschal full moon, which is the first full moon on or after the vernal equinox, as established by the Council of Nicaea in the year 325. And since the date of the vernal equinox doesn't change, but the phases of the moon do, Easter can end up falling between March 22nd and April 25th. So that's the very complicated way in which Easter is determined. Trans Day of Visibility is March 31st. And it just so happened that the ecclesiastical approximations of the moon's phases lined up with March 31st. And by the way, at the tail end of this, the pot at the end of the rainbow happens to be that the very same Joe Biden that we're supposed to believe is completely demented and doesn't know what day it is, schemed and was powerful enough to decide that they're going to put Trans Day of Visibility on the same day as Easter just to attack the Christian faith, which, by the way, Biden is actually religious. He's Catholic, which is a form of Christianity. Trump isn't. And so I don't even know why it would be something Biden would want to do, usurp Christianity with Trans Day of Visibility. So it's all getting very stupid. The good news, if there is any, is that voters seem to be recognizing it in the form of the fundraising numbers we are getting. And it is wild, wild stuff. Today's sponsor, Ground News, is an app and website that quickly shows you how news is being covered across the political spectrum, adding context and making it easy to understand the polarizing events like the election season that we're in. If you're watching this on YouTube, Donald Trump and Joe Biden secured their party's nominations for a historic presidential rematch. So I'll be looking at Ground News's election page for minute-to-minute updates on the issues that matter most and the blind spots in the left and right's election coverage. So, for example, check out the breakdown on why the GOP's Biden impeachment appears to be falling apart. Ground News found more than 20 articles published on this, but I can see it's a near total blind spot for people only following right-leaning news. I wonder why. And looking over here, many of these articles come from reliable sources, with each giving me some new detail, and reading their summary of this from each political viewpoint really just gets me up to speed in seconds on any issue. So make separating fact from noise easier this election by going to ground.news/Pacman. My viewers get 40% off their unlimited access Vantage plan, making it just $5 a month. The link is down below.